Atmospheric testing and monitoring is a critical component of confined space entry procedures. It involves measuring the levels of oxygen, combustible gases, and toxic substances within a confined space to ensure that they are within safe limits for workers to enter. The purpose of atmospheric testing and monitoring is to identify any potential hazards and take appropriate measures to mitigate them before allowing workers to enter the confined space. Now, let's take a deep dive into the subject on this NASP Safety Bite. The following are some key considerations for atmospheric testing and monitoring during confined space entry. Pre-entry testing. Before allowing workers to enter a confined space, atmospheric testing must be conducted to assess the air quality within the space. This involves testing for oxygen levels, as well as the presence of combustible gases and toxic substances. Pre-entry testing should be conducted by a trained and competent person using calibrated and properly maintained testing equipment. Continuous monitoring. Once workers are inside the confined space, continuous monitoring of the atmosphere should be conducted to ensure that conditions remain safe. This involves using equipment that can measure and display real-time readings of oxygen levels, combustible gases, and toxic substances. Typical toxic gases include carbon monoxide and hydrogen sulfide. Periodic testing. Even when conditions are deemed safe for entry, periodic testing should be conducted at regular intervals to ensure that the air quality remains within safe limits. This is typically at least every 15 minutes, but may vary depending on the potential for the accumulation of hazardous gases within the space. This is particularly important in cases where conditions within the confined space may change over time, such as when equipment is in use or when weather conditions change. A good example of this might be welding, cutting, or brazing within the space. Action levels. Action levels should be established for oxygen levels, combustible gases, and toxic substances, indicating when it is necessary to take action to mitigate potential hazards. If any readings exceed established action levels, workers must be immediately evacuated from the confined space and appropriate measures taken to ensure their safety. Typical monitors alarm at 19.5% oxygen, 10% of the lower explosive limit, and the federally mandated permissible exposure limit for carbon monoxide and hydrogen sulfide. Additional sensors may be used if there are other gases likely to be present within the space. Overall, atmospheric testing and monitoring are essential components of confined space entry procedures. By ensuring that the air quality within a confined space remains safe, workers can perform their tasks without undue risk to their health and safety. To improve your knowledge on this topic, consider taking the Confined Space Entry Specialist or the Confined Space Entry Specialist construction courses offered by NASP. Follow the links in the descriptions to find out more. Also, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons for more great workplace safety content. And we'll see you in the next NASP Safety Bite.